Hello friends, welcome. Here we are discussing real stories told by real people. Today we have a story about a man who was deceived by his wife and demanded alimony payments from him. Let's see what happens. Jack Carter saw Stella Marin for the first time one summer morning. He stopped for coffee at the diner, located near his office in the city center. Stella, a waitress with golden hair and lively blue eyes, brought him the menu. She was dressed in a standard uniform, a short blue skirt, a white blouse protected by an apron. "Good morning. What will you order?" she asked with a smile. "Just a big coffee. Black, thanks," Jack replied without looking up from looking at his phone. "You need something to cheer you up, huh?" Stella remarked, writing down the order. Her voice was melodious, and Jack looked at her more closely. He smiled. "It's true. How do you manage to stay so cheerful in the morning?" Stella laughed. "The secret is to go to bed early. And coffee, of course." They exchanged a few more pleasantries before Stella went to the other tables. Over the next few weeks, Jack became a regular diner visitor. With each visit, the conversations between him and Stella became longer and more personal. One day, sitting at his usual table by the window, Jack decided to take the first step. "Stella, would you like to meet me for coffee after work?" But outside of work, he offered, hoping she wouldn't say no. Stella smiled. Her eyes lit up. "I'd love to," she said. "I think I'm getting tired of seeing coffee only here." That's how their story began. With each meeting, Jack got to know Stella better. She turned out to be not only cheerful, but also smart and sensitive. He admired her ability to listen and say exactly what was needed. Stella, in turn, appreciated his generosity and attention to detail. After a few months, they became inseparable. Stella moved in with Jack, and their relationship only grew stronger every day. Stella's unexpected pregnancy was the next important step in their relationship, heralding the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. Jack and Stella's life was filled with new worries and joys after the birth of Elijah. They seemed like a happy family. However, over time, Jack began to notice changes in Stella's behavior. One evening, when they were putting the baby to bed, Stella suddenly said, "Jack, I need more space. I feel it's like being in a cage." Jack was stunned. "The cage? Stella, can we talk about this?" Stella turned away, her voice sounding tired. "Nothing concrete. It's just all this. Mother, wife, I need time to find myself again." Jack tried to understand her, but the words bothered him. "I'm always here to support you. We can change something if it's hard for you." Stella just shook her head. "I need a break, Jack." The next day, Stella left to visit a friend, promising to return in a week. A week turned into a month. She called Elijah every day, but avoided long conversations with Jack. Jack tried to stay calm for his son's sake. He took him for walks, read books before going to bed, trying to fill the void from Stella's absence. When Stella returned, she seemed distant. Her gazes were often directed into the distance, as if she was looking for something that she couldn't find at home. "You're talking about a break. Is it about us or something else?" Jack asked one evening when Elijah was already asleep. Stella sighed slowly. "Sometimes I think it's about us. I'm having trouble breathing, Jack. I do not know what to do." These words startled Jack. He could feel the distance growing between them, even though Stella was so close. He offered to visit a family psychologist, hoping to restore their relationship, but Stella categorically refused. "I need time for myself to figure out how I really feel," she said, looking out the window at the winter evening. Jack, with a heavy heart, agreed to give her that time. He couldn't figure out how they had come to this, but he knew he couldn't hold her by force. After several months of separation, Stella returned home. Her return did not bring the relief Jack had hoped for. On the contrary, the air around was saturated with tension. "Jack, I want a divorce," she said right after dinner. when Elijah was already asleep. Jack felt the silence freeze in his chest. Why? Can't we try again? Stella turned away, clasping her hands. I tried, but it doesn't work. I feel like you're controlling me, financially, emotionally. It's not great for either of us. Jack was stunned. Controlling. Stella, I never wanted to strangle you. Everything I did was for our family. She met his gaze, her eyes full of determination. Sometimes, the more you try to hold, the more you need to let go. Jack couldn't contain his feelings. And our son, are you thinking about how this will affect him? Stella nodded. I think, and this is also one of the reasons. I don't want him to grow up in an atmosphere of constant disagreement. Jack offered family counseling, but Stella refused. I have already made a decision. Please respect that. The following weeks were filled with visits to lawyers and long nights without sleep. Stella received primary custody of Elijah and claimed half of their jointly acquired property. Jack, trying to remain calm, agreed to the terms in order to avoid a lengthy trial. He eventually bought out Stella's share of the house, which cost him a large sum. Are you sure you don't want to try counseling? Maybe we'll find a way out, he tried for the last time when agreeing on the terms of the divorce. Stella shook her head gently. No, Jack, thanks for everything, but I need to move on. It will be better for all of us. After signing all the papers, Stella said a farewell, thank you to him, and left. Left alone in an empty house, Jack could hardly understand how everything had changed so quickly. In an empty house surrounded by silence, Jack could hardly find the strength to get up in the morning. The reflection in the mirror reminded him of days gone by. A colorless, tired face looked at him accusingly. His days turned gray and his nights sleepless. Jack found temporary solace in a bar on the corner. One such evening, forgetting everything, he tried cocaine for the first time. It will make you feel better, his drinking buddy assured him, handing him a wrapped piece of paper. Jack didn't resist. Every day it became more and more difficult to feel anything but an acute desire to forget. One evening, as Jack was staggering home, he was stopped by the police. Are you all right, sir? What's your name? What is it? The officer asked, shining his flashlight on him. Jack Carter, he muttered, trying to focus on the officer's face. He was taken to the police station for questioning. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Jack decided to call Stella's parents, the only one who could help him. Mr. and Mrs. Gray, this is Jack. I need help, he said into the phone, feeling the weight of every word. An hour later, his father-in-law and mother-in-law arrived at the site. Seeing him in such a state, they were shocked, but also determined to help. We're going to get you out of here, son. Everything will be fine, his mother-in-law reassured him, taking his hand. They took him to their home, where Jack spent the next few weeks trying to get rid of drugs and alcohol. In those days, he often talked to his father-in-law about his fears and hopes. You have to pull yourself together, Jack. For Elijah's sake, if not for my own, Mr. Gray said, sitting next to him on the doorstep. Jack nodded, realizing he had no choice. He started going to support groups and seeing a therapist. Every day his mind became clearer and his resolve stronger. As he healed, Jack began to reappreciate the moments he spent with his son. He realized that every minute he spent with Elijah filled his life with meaning, giving him the strength to move forward. Realizing his new beginning, Jack decided to take further steps to rebuild his life. One day, during a visit to Elijah, he unexpectedly ran into a man who radically changed his perception of the past years. Hello, Jack. I'm Thomas, the stranger said, offering his hand. His appearance and manner were strangely familiar. Jack felt an inner tension. Do we know each other? What is it? He asked, taking the hand. Not directly, but I think you've heard about me from Stella, Thomas replied without taking his eyes off me. After this meeting, looking at Elijah and noticing the boy's resemblance to Thomas, Jack felt the need to find out the truth. He immediately contacted his lawyer. "I need a paternity test," he said, feeling his voice tremble with determination. When the test results confirmed his fears, Jack felt mixed feelings of relief and betrayal. With this information, he filed a lawsuit to challenge paternity and stop alimony payments. The atmosphere in court was tense. Stella sat across from him, avoiding his gaze. "Your Honor, I have proved that I am not the biological father of the child. I ask you to reconsider the terms of alimony," he addressed the judge. The judge listened carefully to the arguments of both sides before making a decision. Alimony payments will be stopped. However, the claim for compensation of the funds paid is rejected. "It's in the best interests of the child," he said. After the trial, Stella approached Jack. "You've ruined everything. How could you?" Her voice was shaking with anger. Jack replied calmly, "I was only looking for justice, Stella. No more, no less." Shortly after the trial, Jack received news of the death of his former mother-in-law. She left him most of her inheritance, which was a surprise. "Mr. Carter, you have been left a significant legacy. After paying taxes, an amount of more than $600,000 will be credited to your account," the lawyer announced. At that moment, standing at the window of the lawyer's office, Jack realized that new opportunities were opening up before him. He could have started life all over again, but now with the resources to do it on his own terms. So we have come to the end of this story. Please write your opinion in the comments. We will be interested to know it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss new, even more exciting stories. We wish you good luck.